The following is a non-profit fan-based commentary. Fate Stay Night Unlimited Bladeworks is owned by Kinoku Nasu, UFO Table, Type Moon, and Aniplex. Fate Zero is owned by Aniplex, Madman Entertainment, Type Moon, UFO Table, Gen Urobuchi, Takashi Takechi. Fate Apocrypha is owned by Type Moon, A1 Pictures, Aniplex, Kadokawa, Netflix, Kinoku Nasu, and Yuichiro Higashide. Fate Grand Order is owned by Cloverworks, Kinoku Nasu, Type Moon, and Aniplex. Please support the official release. Sorry for the wait, guys. Turns out editing this podcast is still the hardest of all my other series. But on the bright side, you guys have more pics and clips to look at on the screen. Today, we're going to continue our conversation about our favorite anime. Hope you enjoy! Ooh! Fates. Like any of the Fate series, like Fate Stay Night, Fate Zero, Fate Grand Order Babylonia, or I am so into the entire franchise.
Wait. So maybe you should say which order to watch these in.
Sure. So this is complicated because you know how Star Wars started like in the middle, and then they had the prequels, and now the sequels. But we don't talk about the sequels. That's kind of like Fate. I think it started with Fate Stay Night, and then they had a prequel with Fate Zero. So I watched it in order. The chronological order, because why not, right? And it turns out I think that was the best way for me. Actually, no. Looking back, I think I would have started with Fate Stay Night, but Fate Zero does give context to understand Fate Stay Night. But the thing is, the reason why I would have started with Fate Stay Night is because the whole atmosphere or even mood of the story, the plot, is tiny bit more lighthearted, because in Fate Zero they really get down in like the dirty, like everyone's really at war here at risk, everyone's gonna die kind of thing, like no one's safe. But with Fate Stay Night you still have a sprinkle of like teenage drama, maybe a little bit of romance in there, but like Fate Zero is like all action. So for people who have not watched Fate, it's set in a world where we have mages who practice magecraft. And the idea is that long time ago, they all wanted to reach what's called the first magic. 3 main families came together and created the Holy Grail. And so this Holy Grail was a construct that grants people's wishes. But really what it is, it's like a very concentrated source of spiritual power. And basically whoever wins this Grail would end up having enough spiritual power to basically make any wish come true. But there's a catch. So in order to win the Holy Grail, there needs to be a war. So typically there would be 7 contestants. Each one would summon a certain class of servant or heroic spirits. This is where it gets interesting, because you can summon, if you have the right ingredients and whatever, to summon almost any hero in history that has made their mark in humanity's advancement or in their history. So for example, you have the main character, King Arthur, who, surprise, ends up materializing himself as a her. So it turns out King Arthur, his name is Artoria, and it turns out she's actually a woman. All these heroic spirits that were summoned, they end up being super powerful, like much more stronger than the mages who summoned them, who they call masters now. Now you might be wondering why such a strong spirit would do the bidding of people who are weaker than them. It's because the masters have what's called command spells that give them the authority to own them, to use them during the war. So these heroic spirits are dependent on their masters, their mages, to provide them with enough magical energy to use their noble phantasms, basically the weapons that they were known for in their life. If the mage dies, then the heroic spirit disappears, so masters also act as an anchor for the heroic spirits, or servants. So there's a war going on, and then basically the last person standing will win the Grail. It's a huge franchise. It just blew up throughout the years, especially with the game Fate Grand Order, which I am playing, as well as a bunch of friends that we know. And it's great. I really like the idea of being able to call on a heroic spirit or a servant from history to basically fight your battles, or that's literally it, to fight your battles, right? So it's interesting to see, first of all, how they're depicted in an anime, but throughout the different plots, you start to fall in love with like the story. Like every character, even every heroic spirit, every servant, they all have their backstories. They all have their reason for wanting to be summoned in the first place, right? I think what really drew me into the anime was not only like the beautiful animation, it really was just to see historical figures just animated.
Yeah, that's actually really cool, because like you mentioned earlier, King Arthur, right, is Saber? And I guess the other ones, I don't know too much about it, but like I've heard there's also like a Lancer and like Archer.
So there's 7 classes. There's the Saber, there's the Archer, there's the Lancer. All 3 are called Knight classes. And then you have the Cavalry classes, the Rider, the Assassin, the Caster. And then later on you get like the Ruler, and you have Avenger, Moon Cancer, Alter Ego, etc., etc. Foreigner. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention Fate Apocrypha. Oh, I love that one too. It's another installment of the Fate franchise.
So would you watch?
So
would you watch Apocrypha before or after? When do you watch Apocrypha?
Apocrypha is a full-on spin-off, so you would watch it after watching the main series, because then if you just jump into Apocrypha, you're not gonna know what's really going on. What are they fighting for? Why is the war happening? Kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, I think that's actually also a really cool concept too. Like being able to use things of the past, or like things that have lore already about them, but then bring them into like the modern day world, or bring them into like a different setting, and then like showing how they would react, or like the things they could do, like gods of other history and lore that in this context might do different things.
It's actually interesting because all servants, when they're summoned, they are actually automatically given basic knowledge of the culture that they're in. So that's why a lot of them know how to speak Japanese and know very roughly what the culture is like.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is why Artoria ends up really liking food.
Can relate.
I think the main reason that I like it is because it's nice to imagine what kind of servant would you summon if you were in that world, right?
Me, as someone who enjoys like character creation and stuff, I would probably enjoy like making the servants that you could summon instead, actually.
Oh, just creating them out of thin air?
Yeah, or like, not out of thin air, but like doing some research in historical context.
Oh, I see.
And then like finding something that hasn't been previously made and like creating their role in this world and like their weapon and like what class they would be, etc., etc.
I always love the Lancer class and the Rider class. I just think it's so convenient. Like, I'm not even talking about the war or even the anime anymore. Imagine going to work or school and you just, like, you're late and you just call up your Rider buddy and then he just drives you to work.
Yeah, as someone
might not drive the car.
As someone who is team always late, I would love that. So, okay, my interaction with the Fate franchise, the only thing I've done, well, I've seen a lot of cosplays, but my only interaction with, like, watching Fate is...
Oh, wait, sorry, you're actually gonna cosplay Mash in the future, aren't you?
I have her wig, but I also have Erishka Gal.
Really?
Yeah, I have her second form, I think.
I think it's nice because she's one of the servants who isn't, like, showing a lot of skin.
Well,
like, it's not clearly fan service.
She just has a cape, but she does show a lot of skin.
I think that's why she doesn't show skin.
Yeah.
Oh, does she?
She's basically wearing, like, a bodysuit under, and then she wears, like, a cape.
Oh, you're
that
right.
covers most of it.
But I think she's classy. Oh, right, she's not wearing pants.
Oh, no, she's not.
I still think she's classy.
You know, it could be like the cape is modest.
Yeah,
the cape is modest. Yeah, but basically, I looked at Rin Tonsaka and I was like, she's a thought. And then, I looked at.
Whoa! You take that back. She's the best waifu. Okay, don't talk about her like that.
Hey. I know that my opinion may not actually matter because I haven't actually watched her in action. Except for the very first episode, I think. The only actual thing I've watched the whole thing of is Fate First Order, I think? And I got very confused.
Why?
It was kind of like an isekai where they ended up in another world, and then, like, Mash ended up being the main character's servant, and then, like, Mash wasn't very good at fighting, but she did her best, and then it was just like, the heart, my strength and my belief in you gives you strength. It's like, believe in the me that believes in you.
No!
So that's like, at that point I was like, is this anime really what people think it is?
That is not a good introduction.
And then there was like the secret bowl thing that like, it was like, oh, the original thing that broke and like wasn't supposed to work. Somehow was preserved, and then like some guy got killed in it, or like girl or whatever, and like it wasn't a very good introduction, and I was extremely confused. So I think maybe that was not the best foot into the Fate universe. Maybe not the best.
The First Order, admittedly, was a very poor fan service movie. They did not do it right or even any justice at all. They talk about the very first chapter or singularity in the game, and it's a bit more intense than what you see in the movie. I feel like they just didn't want to rehash the story word for word, but that was their mistake.
Fair, which is why, like, understandably, maybe one movie isn't enough to, like, let me have an opinion on the whole franchise. So I am willing to watch Stay Night past the first episode if Rin stops being hot.
I think you should start with Fate Zero. I feel like you would be someone who would appreciate the darkness of Fate Zero and then go to Fate Stay Night.
Perhaps. Maybe I'll do that.
And then Fate Grand Order, they did do a good job kind of redeeming themselves with their second movie, not movie series, Demonic Front Babylonian or something. Yeah, right. That one was really good. That was very loyal to the story in the actual game.
Is that
it was
the
really
one
good.
that Erishka Gal appears in?
Yeah, it is.
Alright, I'll watch that one.
Yeah, you should, yeah. Oh, we talked about Fate Apocrypha before. Really good series. What I didn't like was the sound effects. Like, you don't know what I'm talking about. You can probably look it up right now.
No idea. I'll watch it later.
Yeah, so like they try to make it sound realistic with the sparks and everything, but every time it does, it kind of just sounds like static in my ears. I'm like, are my speakers broken? And then now looking back, every time I hear it, it's so unique, and it brings actually some nostalgia. And I'm just like, oh, I want to watch it again. And then it's like, and I'm like, oh yeah.
Alright. We'll put that on my watch list then.
Yeah.
Alright, this looks like a good place to cut it off. If you enjoyed listening to this episode, consider liking and subscribing, and stay tuned for the next episode of the Moocast.
Bye. Peace.